Well, hello, everybody. How are you doing? Becky, Raney here, and today we're on day 49 of our Leadership and Duplication Challenge. And today we're going to talk about number 13, stories for promotions and leadership. So, what I'm talking about on that is we are in the business of promotions. Really, what we do is we promote everywhere. And I have a question for you. So, when you think about conventions and big events that the corporation does, or maybe even your upline. So, for example, I just got back from India where we had our uh, first annual convention, and I just did a tour to like 15 different cities. And we're all in the market to be promoting these events. Because if you think about the value, if you're able to get one person to an event that is like a corporation event, like a global or like a the convention in India or the global convention in the United States or wherever you are in the world, if you are able to promote an event, um, you get someone to go to it, that actual cost or that actual value of revenue in depending on different marketing companies, of course, but it's actually a $5,000 income for you over time because the whole value of the corporation event solidifies people's belief in the company. It actually may solidify in the belief of the culture of the company, um, having more understanding of what's going on. There's so many values that happen when somebody goes to a company event. And so when you talk to somebody and invite them to, say, an event, they have many excuses like, I can't afford it, or there's not enough value you're presenting to me to see why it's worth it to go. Um, I can't find a babysitter. I can't get off work. I can't afford it. I mean, there's so many reasons and stories that people have that that are excuses, right? And your job as a polished leader is to have stories around each of those excuses, kind of already figured out. So, for example, like just think of all the different reasons, like maybe even list them on my chat below this video. What some of the excuses that you have heard that you're stumbling to try to not let that be a stopping point for you. Remember, if you had somebody attend a convention, it's worth it to you, like $5,000. Like, just think about that. Would you just stop at the first excuse, or would you, um what have you done in the past? Have you tried to convince them, or did you just forget about it, they're not interested, or what? Right, where did you go with it? And, so think about the better you are at storytelling and not factual saying, the better you'll have response and people attending. And um, there's going to be really valued excuses that you can actually, just like anything, we are in the business of promoting and changing people's minds to see value so that they'll move into action. And so if you had a story around somebody who can't afford to go, well, what are some things that you can tell them? You can say, well, for example, gosh, I know a lot of people say that. And I've seen people actually just get really busy and sell a lot of products so that they can afford to go. Or, um, there's so many ways that we can share the room together so the expenses aren't as much. We can all jump in the car and go together so that it doesn't cost you. We could share the expenses so it's not the full expense, like really working it out so the team environment actually happens too. And so no facts, but actually stories. And we had so much fun. So usually if you can thread into the story excitement, enthusiasm, what what the negative part was, I can't afford to go. Yeah, I had a leader who said that too. But you know what we did is we worked all these details out. We shared the room. We shared the cost of the and then I put a game plan together. If they sold this many oils, that they would be able to afford to go. And that is really powerful. And especially if you start promoting earlier on, that it actually is not as intense of a no. It's more, well, maybe it's possible. Maybe they could actually see it really come true. And so you want to come up with a story for every excuse. So if you think about, and if we could all use this Facebook or this group video and type in below some of the excuses, and maybe if you had a story that you were able to share around it. You want to have the what happened, what their excuse was, what you guys did and how much fun, and what the end result was, like how their business has grown so much and really made a big impact. um, there's a conversation around, Eric Worre was talking about being in a big room, and there was like 800 people in the room. And he was in the back talking to a leader, and he said, "What is your success?" And the leader said, "See this room? See all of the people in this room?" He goes, "Yeah." Well, next year, half of those people will not come back. We don't know what happens. We don't know why. But the other half that did come back, their income is doubled. And the next year, half of that room doesn't come back, but the other half that does, their income quadrupled. And then again, the half of that, it was 8 times more, and then 16 times more. The secret is to always come and never not show up. Always come to those events because they make a huge impact. And maybe eventually you'll be speaking on stage, making a bigger impact. And I just have to tell you, um, there's something to be said about showing up and making yourself present. Not only are you hearing information over and over again, probably, but you're being recognized by someone who's committed. And people love that. They want to be part of a culture of someone who's committed. And this last convention that I went to in India was really impactful. Um, I've had people, me just sharing things on Facebook, reach out to me and said that they're really sorry they didn't make it. And I've actually signed up a couple people who saw me go and said that they really see that I'm committed and that I'm showing up and that they want a leader to follow with on that. That's huge, you guys. And that there's nothing more prideful to have in that. So I want to ask you, what kind of a leader are you? Are you committed to always showing up so that you can double your income, quadruple, and so on, right? Never miss an event. But how are you going to get your downline to never miss an event? So I challenge you all to look at all the different stories that people have and then come up with a story. We can share each other's stories and reach up to me. Let's really share these stories in this chat on what people's excuses are for not going and maybe what other people could have said or how what story they shared that followed that format. What happened, what they said, how much fun they had, and what results they got out of it. It's so impactful. You want to relate to the people when you're telling the story. Like, oh my gosh, I so can relate to not having enough money to go to the convention. And I sold a bunch of stuff from my garage. I, I shared carpool so that we can go there together and make it more economical. We shared a big house rental together and we made it more affordable for everybody. And it's just really great to be able to come and do that. We had the best time. I have so many amazing memories, and we've laughed so much. We made an amazing team dinner together, and, you can go on and on, and people wanna be a part of that. Stories um create a list in your mind. Like they create candidates in your mind. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you want to relate to the person as one. Number two is you want the person when they're hearing this story to think of other people that they could think of. Like, maybe it's not so bad if I can get Martha to come. Martha said she couldn't afford it, but if we come together, maybe we could split the cost and it'll be more affordable with us together. Um, and then you want number 3, them to pay attention. Um, meaning you, as you're telling the story, you want to think about all the different kinds of stories that relate to everybody in the room, like age, race, man, woman, um, age. Did I say that already? So, like, if you have older people in the room and they say, "This looks like all young men," I can't belong to this. This is something that doesn't matter. So, you really want to be able to have different stories. You can even have people come up and tell different stories so that that way you're collecting all the different reasons and things that happen. Maybe people don't have enough money, they can't get off work, they have kids that they have to pay attention to, um, all the excuses, and have like a single mom come up and say, "Yeah, I have 3 kids. I'm a single mom. I can't afford to go. I can't find a sitter. But you know what? My upline and my team, we all got together and they had kids too. So we thought we could just bring the kids with us and we can hire a sitter or we could take turns watching them and so that we don't miss out on the whole convention. And things can be workable. Things can happen when you're sharing, more ideas come together, and it's really impactful. So you're going to want to make a catalog of all these stories so that you can remember them and pull them out. You want a story for students, a stories for single moms, a stories for old people, a stories for men, a stories for women, a stories for gay people, black people, whatever it is, so that that way you can touch point all the different concerns that people have. Um, so let me just look at my notes here. Um, so remember that you get paid $5,000. If you got $5,000 for each person who attends the convention through their beliefs that they've established and their team building and enthusiasm that they have, then it's so worth it, right? It's so worth doing this. And I just was thinking about my team in India, how they're all excited about the Sri Lanka co-impact sourcing trip for the cinnamon bark. And they're all like really planning for it. They had several team meetings already, strategizing on how they can really get going with this. And it's super exciting. And so, it's all about the story, the value, that you're providing for them and um, the vision. Like, like God, if we all were able to go to the Sri Lanka co-impact sourcing trip, what would that be like? Wouldn't that be so many great memories we can create? And we had so much fun when we went to Nepal, or so much fun when we went to Hawaii. And so all the different ways you can talk about these stories are just really incredible. Okay, so with that in mind, we're talking about the convention, but I also want you to tie these story theories and testimonies to all the other things that people have in their life that stops them, like how to get to core rank, um, how to get up in front of a class and teach a class, how to get past the fear. You're going to want stories for everything so that that way your story can lead people forward into what matters for them most, that they could see that they're not alone in this issue. So, what are all the issues that people have? Um, like, I'm thinking of things like I have a leader who's struggling with knocking on doors and talking to people or picking up the phone and calling. So, think of all of these things, and really, a powerful leader is going to have this written down and sharing and collecting and making a huge impact for your downline. Okay, you guys. So thank you so much. Give me a like on this video so you know you watched it. And we're looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.